In the spiritual community, you've probably heard there's no such thing as time or space. This week, the ladies and I are talking about healing timelines. What does that mean and what does that look like? So, we are Peyton, Corey, and myself, Yaila. We do a video every single Wednesday on different topics relating to intuition, spirituality, and energy. So, if that sounds like something that you like, something that you like, go ahead and like and share and subscribe to each of our channels. So kicking off today's topic on healing timelines, I will kick it off with you, Peyton.
Thanks, Yaila. Hey, y'all, I'm Peyton. And healing timelines is such an interesting concept because I've heard when I was first starting on my spiritual path, so much talk about timelines. But I didn't really know what we were talking about. I probably heard this for 2 years before I figured out what we were even talking about when we talked about timelines. And so what my guides have explained to me the concept of timelines as is the idea of different possible realities. Because as most of us have been raised in 3D, we think of there being a past, a present, and a future, that there is one reality. But as we move through the ascension process, we're learning that time is much more flexible. And so the guides have been talking a lot about how every second we pass through a billion possible realities. And so for every one of our future moments, we have all of these options available to us. So there is no one future. So when we start to talk about timelines, we can apply that going backwards as well, because we think of these things that happened to us in the past that we tend to drag into our future life. We have bad memories, we carry a lot of trauma from the past, and we tend to still think in that old way of thinking that there's one past. And so when we do that, we tend to give our power away to traumatic memories or to negative things that have happened to us over the course of our life. Like, how many times can you remember in your life that someone said something mean to you? Maybe you were 6 and you were on the playground and some girl told you you had a big nose. And then every time you looked in the mirror after that, you saw yourself with a big nose. And we as humans do that all the time. We take these negative memories and we drag them forward into our future. And we have the flexibility as we start to move into this new flexible version of time to actually take our power back from all of those past traumas, because a lot of us are really slaves to the past, to these negative memories that we keep carrying around with us. And what that does is it ruins our present and it ruins our future. So one thing that the guides have taught me in terms of healing timelines is to take our power back from those negative memories. And so what my guides have taught me to do is go back into a memory sometime when it comes up in my life. Maybe I'm thinking about something that happened in the past or a relationship that didn't work out. And what they've had me do is sit down in meditation and replay that memory, but change the ending. So change the ending so that it has a positive ending. So rather than seeing that girl on the playground telling you you have a big nose, imagine that she tells you have beautiful hair and you guys hug and you're friends for the next 2 years. So just taking that simple step to take that negative memory and change the ending, what you do is you change how you feel about that event in your now moment. And so the guides say that we can heal our timelines by using our present to heal the past. And all you have to do is use your imagination. And remember, just as there are billions of future realities that you can choose, there are billions of past memories you can choose. We think we're locked into that one thing that had happened, but all we do then is we drag that negative thing and we torture ourselves with it for the rest of our life. But we don't have to. You can take your power back, go back to those things that were really painful events and reimagine them. And what you do then is you change the script. And so then anytime you go back and you start thinking about that memory, you can then consciously choose to remember it going a different way. Because remember, another version of you had that alternate ending. So another version of you actually had that circumstance that went really well, that it wasn't something that was negative. But what we do is we tend to replay that negative event. We remember it going badly. And so what the guides are saying is the only reason that that past moment exists is because we choose to keep replaying it. The guides tell us there is no past. And so the past is what you choose it to be. And that's very foreign to our old way of thinking. You know, in 3D, we'd be like, oh no, that's not what happened. Well, guess what? We're not in that construct of time anymore. You can rewrite the past. And so that's what the guides have been teaching me and my clients to do a lot, is to retake your power from those things that really torture you, those really traumas and those negative events. You can take your power back from them by re-envisioning them. And the guides say that's how we step into our God power. Because what we're doing is we're using our now moment to heal the past. And when we heal the past, we heal our now moment, and we heal all of our future moments. And so it all comes down to using your now moment, which is the only moment we ever have, to undo some of those traumas that we drag around with us that really weigh us down. And so that's a simple little tool that my guides have given me to help reframe some of these things that cause us so much pain, that we just remember forever. And we think that all of our future events are going to go the same way. But that's only, the guides say, because we're choosing to validate that negative memory when we could be validating a positive one. So when you do this, it's a quick little game you can play with yourself, and you really do start to take your power back. When you do that, you heal your timeline. So that's how I have been playing with healing timelines lately. And I found it to be really, really simple, but really, really powerful. So how about you, Corey? How do you heal timelines?
You know, this is a great topic, and thank you, Peyton. And you ladies look lovely today. I must say, you're just glowing. Must be healing your timelines. You know, when I think of timelines, I think of going on a trip or a journey, and you've packed all your bags. Maybe you've had a few bags. And as you go along this journey, you start picking up different beliefs, or, you know, whatever. You pick up experiences, which in turn attach to a belief. And you just keep on picking up and loading up more bags or more stuff in your bags. And that's like the beginning of a timeline. You know, that's our past. And timelines are something that we can actually choose for our future. But in order to do that, and say we want, like, you know, a happy, joyous future, you know, sitting on the beach with a lounge chair, and yet you grew up in a family that lived in the desert and hated the beach, didn't like the sand, but loved being in nature up in the mountains. So believing that the ocean isn't any good for you, right? But that's your dream, what you'd like to do. In order to make it to that timeline, you know, one of the wonderful things that I love to do is theta healings. And theta healings, what they do is it was very similar to what Peyton was saying, is that they help us to release the belief that we have about ourselves or what we're capable of having in the future. Because realistically, if we don't heal our wounds, you know, we can't move forward in a direction that we'd like to move to. And I mean, none of us get out of this world unscathed. So it's about healing those wounds. But with the theta healing, we're able to pull out the beliefs that are sabotaging your future timelines that you'd like to have, and replacing it with, like, you know, like Peyton was saying, you know, you can, Peyton was saying, you know, erase it. But it's a healing, you know, theta healing, it's a healing of that belief and putting in the positive beliefs so that you can pick the timelines that you'd like to have. So, and I've done a lot of that. And it's also, what comes to mind too is similar to shadow work. You know, timelines are, we can always pick, say, if, you know, you're brought up, you grow up, you go to school, you go to college, you pick your career, you you work there for 30, 40 years, you retire, and blah, blah, blah. You know, and you have children, you get married, or you have a partner, whatever it is. But your soul isn't resonating with that. Being able to change that and healing the beliefs that go along with that is choosing another timeline. So yes, every present moment does affect our future. So if you, you know, for example, if you have negative talk in your head, negative, 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 you'll be picking a timeline that resonates with that. And a lot of us do it subconsciously, but we get to heal timelines in the past and be able to be present in the moment and align that with a future timeline that we'd like to be on. So it's like picking your future. But in order to get to that future that you so desire, the baggage that you've been carrying around your whole life that's so heavy needs to be looked at and healed and then thrown away. Or maybe it is an item in there that has so much gunk on it that it's become really heavy. And if you take all that gunk off of it, it becomes this great shiny gold piece of yum yum that you can take with you, but it's in a different form. So that's how I feel about timelines and my experience with timelines. How about you, Yaila?
Thank you, Corey. And I have to say, you look very lovely today as well. You both do. Beautiful and smart. How did I get so lucky to have such great friends? And I love what you both shared as far as, you know, what timelines are and, you know, how do you like to heal them? I love both of your versions on that. When I think of timelines, I think of how our body holds, the cells in our body holds physical and emotional memories. And if you've worked in any type of modalities, as far as like Rolfing, it's a type of deep tissue massage, basically releasing energy in your actual body. EFT, the tapping, you know, that also works with your energy meridians to kind of move beliefs and energy. I'm also, you know, a big fan of theta healing, practicing that. So when I think of healing timelines, how I use it with my clients and with my students, when I'm looking in their space and there is a pattern that keeps showing up, or there is something going on in their life that they're not really happy about, or they're feeling stuck, or they're feeling blocked about, it's good to look at where did that start for you. And sometimes I'm guided to look at their timeline. And so in a reading, I would literally just envision their timeline out, you know, to the past and into the future. Since there's no time and space, you can go backwards and forwards to look at, you know, what can you change from the past, but also what would you like to set up for the future, or what are some roadblocks that might be out in the front. And so in a reading, I would look at where are those spots along their timeline where they had a similar experience that they are trying to work through in this present moment. So for example, a recent client was working on abandonment issues with a family member. And so we looked at all those different, an abandonment issue with a relationship. And so we looked at all those different experiences along her timeline, meaning just to see where these little blots of energy. We didn't have to go into the story of it. You know, she's working with her therapist on those types of things, but energetically, we wanted to shift the energy to the present moment. And so when I heal timelines with people, I basically look at the timeline in the past and into the future where all these little situations pop up. I asked to be shown little blotches of information or little blotches of energy. And I basically just see those energies being pulled from the timeline to help bring her current energy back to the present moment. Same thing going out to the future, pulling all those spots where she'll be running into the abandonment and pulling it back to the present moment. And then combining that with theta healing, where you're looking at the beliefs. What is she telling herself about herself in these situations? Because our energy work is really about what are we telling ourselves? What stories are we telling ourselves about the current situation? And so you can't change other people, but you can change your energy on yourself, and you bring everything to the present moment where you have the most power. And so for a lot of people, if you've never done energy work before, this can sound like, well, does that really work? I know that's where my mind first went when I started learning these tools. Like, how the heck can I just go into a meditation and imagine these little spots on a timeline and you're pulling them and filling them in with what you want? How does that actually work? Well, if you've heard about quantum physics, it's really where you choose to focus. And since we only have this present moment, our mind doesn't know the difference between the past and the future. It's basically creating the reality based off of where we currently are. And so when you learn to speak the language of your brain, which your subconscious works in pictures, symbols, and colors. And so when you're learning to speak its language, you're actually changing how your brain is storing and holding the information. And so the suggestions that Peyton and Corey gave you, along with some additional ones, these are just a few different ways to heal timelines. But it is something as far as talking to your brain, giving it new images, new pictures, a new reality basically to believe. And that's how you start shifting the energy from this current moment and into the future that you want to change. So that's how I think of healing timelines and what that looks like. But anything else that you ladies want to add? Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for today's topic. Be sure to join us next week and subscribe to each of our channels because we all post a different video every week, so you don't want to miss it. Thanks again. If you liked this video, please like, share, comment. We love your feedback and we hope this was helpful. See you next week. Bye.